This is All India Radio. In the program Spotlight, now we bring a discussion on Pradhan Matsya Sampada Yojana. The participants are Dr. Tajamul Haq, agriculture expert, and Sanjeev Mukherjee, journalist.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi today launched the Pradhan Matsya Sampada Yojana and also a lot of other initiatives for the fisheries sector, both in the country as well as in Bihar. Dr. Haq, just to start with, the first question that I would like to know from you, Pradhan Matsya Sampada Yojana is how important or how viable or this program is to boost the fisheries sector in the country.
This scheme was announced in the last year's budget, Finance Minister, and the idea was that agriculture diversification has been the focus all through, but two things were very important last year. One is that a separate department of fisheries was created for the first time. As a result, the fisheries sector was given the due importance. Otherwise, it was part of the agriculture ministry, and fisheries was never a priority there. As well, crop production, horticulture, and things like that. So now, at least, as a result of this creation of separate ministry, I think this got due importance. Second thing is that fisheries sector has a huge potential, untapped potential, I should say, for future growth of agriculture and also the agro industry. So keeping that in mind, I think the government thought that this must be given its due importance or priority. And for that reason, I think 20,050 crores or so was allocated just for this scheme last year. So the point is, now the Prime Minister today digitally launched this scheme, particularly in the context of Bihar. Several things he announced. In fact, this includes some kind of disease control lab this is in Kishanganj. Then RAU, there is some kind of fish production technology center. And
right.
Then he also mentioned about, some kind of fish feed mill in Madhubani. Then also some, thing in Sitamarhi. So like that in Patna also. So 5-6 places, there will be some kind of new, places where, particularly in Bihar, there will be more emphasis on fish production, fish disease control, fish marketing, and value addition. So I think this is one. Secondly, I think I mentioned right in the beginning that this sector has a huge untapped potential. For the last few years, I think the fish production is growing at the rate of about 7.5% or so. And this is now being targeted to increase significantly in the sense to maybe 9% or so. It is said that this will do two things. One thing is that the fish production will be more or less doubled from the present 13.7 million tons to about 22 million tons in 2024-25. It also talks about the export potential of this sector. Presently, I think we annually export 46,589 crores. This was the figure for 2018-19. And this will be about 1 lakh crore in 2024-25. And in terms of employment generation or the livelihood generation, presently the fisheries sector provides livelihood to about 25 million fishermen and twice the number in value chain. And this also, as a result of this kind of investment with private sector participation, farmers' direct participation, and involvement in a cooperative manner, I think this will further improve this employment potentials of the opportunity. So it has a huge potential for production growth, for export growth, for employment growth. So you can imagine what we really need in the present context, in the present Indian economy. And all this, I think, will have huge contribution from the fisheries sector. So I think this effort is in the right direction. Priority is a right kind of priority. Also, they say the farmer's income will be more or less doubled by 2024. So I think all good things are there.
So one thing which I was wanting to know is that the investment that has been planned under the Matsya Sampada Yojana is roughly around 20,000 crores spread over the next 4, 5, 6 years. So what are the sectors in these 20,000 crores that you think will attract much of the investment in the fisheries sector that I'm talking about?
Yeah, basically more so on the marine technology, and also about 7,710 crore will be on fisheries infrastructure. Particularly if you want to tap the potential of marine fisheries in the export sector, I think this has not been done properly in the past, mainly because of the lack of infrastructure and also technology. So both technology and infrastructure will get a focus. And second thing is that even at the individual level, each farmer will be given some kind of opportunity to take up fisheries or the modernized fisheries for their empowerment. And all those Kisan credit card holders, they will get 3 lakh rupees per person as a loan at 4% interest rate. So this will give them an opportunity to invest in the fisheries sector. Government is investing, private sector will invest, and also the fishermen's own involvement will be there in putting some money and getting good returns from the fisheries sector. In fact, a lot of those who are engaged in the private sector in fisheries, in fact, they told me in states like Bihar, for instance, has a huge potential and nobody cared about it, both in terms of technology upgradation, in terms of marketing. Bihar and Jharkhand, mostly they get fish from Andhra Pradesh till now. So now if this kind of thing comes, if they become self-reliant in fish production, 2-3 things happen. One thing is that employment and income of the fishermen improve, additional employment opportunities are generated, and also the fish is a good source of animal protein. So those who grow and those who eat there, they will have additional source of protein, more nutrition. From all angles, I think this is a very good scheme, I'll say.
Right.
And priorities, not only the investment priorities, even infrastructural allocation also is in the right direction because infrastructure needs attention. So I think this is being done.
So in the fisheries sector, what we have been seeing in the last few years is that the inland fisheries has grown at a faster rate as compared to the marine fisheries thing. So if you see the last data that we have on fisheries is of 2017-18, it shows that the total fish production rose by almost 14%, of which inland fisheries rose by roughly 3.6, the output rose by 14%, and the marine fisheries output did not rise by that much amount. That growth was lower. So inland fisheries have a great scope. And how do you think this scheme will help the inland fisheries sector, which is largely neglected sector, to grow?
Inland fisheries has not been neglected, I'll say, for the last, in fact, it is easy for the fishermen also, or for the people to do inland fisheries kind of thing. So this is there. In the Eastern Indian context, there was an emphasis long back, if you will recollect, that there should be paddy fish interculture kind of thing, mixed farming.
Yes.
And a lot of water is not a problem, particularly in the Kharif season. A lot of waterlogged areas are there. Water remains there for several months. So in those waterlogged areas, fish cultivation can be a very popular kind of thing. This was talked about, but not really practiced so much. So I think this can be taken up. But marine fisheries, as you said, was more neglected and the growth rate was nominal. And partly because the infrastructure was lagging and also the technology part was poor. So both account of improvement in technology, improvement in infrastructure, now the marine sector growth also will pick up. As a result, the overall fisheries sector growth will be much higher. As I said, it could be about 9% in some cases, average. I'm talking about both inland and marine fisheries.
Coming to even in case of marine fisheries, our export potential is huge, but we have a lot of export potential in case of shrimps, in case of prawns, in case of other different varieties. But do we also need to focus on varietal research in case of both marine and inland fisheries?
Yes, you are right. I think varietal improvement will be the key. For instance, carp culture, the kind of attention which it should have got, it has not got. Now there should be more emphasis on that. Even it is not necessarily that even in ponds you can grow prawn. So earlier it used to be basically river kind of thing. So culture of prawn in ponds that we are talking about in several places, even under Manrega, we say lakhs of ponds will be created. So if at the village level, if those ponds are used both for fishing and also for irrigation, I think this will help you. So I think there is export-wise, as you know, there are some key challenges. Challenge number one is that sometimes some of our products, shrimp, was returned from the countries, including from America. I think it is not disease-free, there is some problem. If you have a proper technology to take care of this, some kind of lab for pre-testing and before you send it, that kind of rejection will not take place, and rejection means loss. So I think we have to emphasize on that kind of infrastructure and technology which take care of our product quality, keeping in view the demand in the international market, and also there is a quality standard. So if that is done, I think that will help. But I think in this scheme there will be effort for this because, as I mentioned, the export is going to be substantially improved. At least the target is like that, 1 lakh crore by 2024. Presently, hardly it is 46,000 or 47,000 crores. So I think again it is going to be more than double. So if you have to double that, then you have to focus on two things. One thing is this technology and infrastructure. And apart from that also, you have to explore markets where you can. Presently, you send some of your streams mainly to Japan, China, and also USA. But there are other target countries where you should try to explore. So exploring new markets, expanding the export market, and developing or producing things, keeping in view the international standards and quality norms. So I think you will be able to do it.
One thing which always comes into this thing is that fisheries sector is highly unorganized. There are very small fishermen. The cooperative sector does play a very important role in that. So what should be done what is your views on making the welfare of fisheries farmers foremost in case of like having the more social security net for them? Maybe we could have their incomes, I think, haven't grown as per the data. Their incomes have grown at a slower pace in the last 5-6 years as they were done in previous years. So what should be done to that they have a more robust system of income plus a social security net, because it's a risky profession to undertake.
It is a very perishable kind of thing. As you know, fish the shelf life is not that long. So I think must have a storage and transportation and marketing system on fast track basis. I think that is one. And secondly, more important in order to improve the income, because here also the objective is to double the farmer's income.
Right.
24 at least. So if that is so, then presently the marketing is a big problem. At least in the domestic sector you will find, I think Bihar and West Bengal produce a lot of fish, but then they are not able to market things beyond their own estate. So in fact they have to import from outside. So if Bihar produces more and also develop marketing facilities for selling at a remunerative price, and if the government ensures that there is a storage facility, proper cold storage facilities for fisheries, transportation facilities for fisheries, and keeping in view the target market, I think their income will improve.
Definitely. Marketing is a very key thing in the fisheries sector. And as we have seen during the lockdown months, means the raw material was available, but it wasn't reaching the consumers because there weren't enough people to carry them. Neither there were enough cold storages to store them, or maybe small cold storages to store in neighborhoods where it can be distributed back to the consumers in small amounts. So these are the kind of lacunae that probably the current team will try to address, as well as the big.
I'll also say that if FUH come,
yes,
even in the fisheries sector, I think they can not only go for fish production or fish catching, but also fish processing, at least primary level processing, drying and things like that, and sell it afterwards at a high price. So if the basic infrastructure is in place, and already I think I must mention that the present focus of agriculture infrastructure, even to start some kind of startups on a smaller scale, or to start some kind of cold storage facility at the local level, I think there is a provision for credit support. So if you can really implement some of these schemes that are already in place, I think things will improve.
Right. Hopefully so, Dr. Huck, and we hope that the scheme is really one of the gives a big boost to the fisheries sector, because as we all know, this is one of the sectors which gives a lot of employment, and some parts it is completely driven by women. In some parts it is mostly by small farmers, marginal people who have not much amount of income. Inland fisheries, at least very small groups work to produce fish as well as to distribute to primary level processing. All these are very small, and hopefully a lot of investment come into the sector and we see a big boost, because this, as you have rightly mentioned, is a sector, is a kind of sunshine sector which will push up agriculture income of farmers and can be a very, very big and a very profitable supplement to the crop and the horticulture sector for any farmer anywhere in India. That is what we have realized. Thank you, Dr. Huck, for being so informative and so encouraging and sharing your thoughts. I think we end this program here. Thank you, Dr. Huck.
Thank you.
You were listening to a discussion on Pradhan Mantri Matsya Sampada Yojana. The participants were Dr. Tajamul Haq, agriculture expert, and Sanjeev Mukherjee, journalist. This program was produced and presented by the News Services Division of All India Radio. You can listen to it on a mobile app, News on AIR. This program is also available on our website, newsonair.com. You may email opinion about this program at airnsttalks@gmail.com.